When it comes to drafting fantasy baseball closers, it's most important to get the guys that are going to get chances to close as opposed to guys that might be the best closers that are available on the market. Now, there's a lot of philosophy that you can draft closers later in your draft because there's always going to be guys coming available later in the year as other closers lose their job, and they'll be available on the waiver wire. Guys such as Sergio Santos, Fernando Salas, Javi Guerra, and Mark Melancon were examples of guys who didn't start last year as closers but became closers. So let's look at a couple situations with teams this year where the closer at this point is unknown. We'll start with the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have Rafael Betancourt, who's the 37-year-old veteran. He'll probably get the job. He'll be pushed a little bit by Matt Belisle. Belisle was very consistent last year. He had 7 chances to save, and he blew all 7 of them, so we don't see that he's going to be able to beat him out for the job. There's also a guy, Rex Brothers, out in Colorado, a young guy. He strikes out over 13 per 9 innings, so that makes him look like a closer, but he also has trouble with the walks. He had 4.9 walks per 9 innings pitched last year. So in Coors Field, you can't afford those kind of walks, and we think that Rafael Betancourt is going to get the job in Colorado. For the Dodgers, Javi Guerra was the surprise closer last year. He saved 21 out of 23 chances, but he's going to get pushed this year by Kenley Jansen. Jansen is another big strikeout guy, 16.1 per 9 innings, and when he enters the mound late in the game, that's just the kind of guy you want who can go out there and get some Ks. So a lot of people think that Jansen's going to beat out Javi Guerra this year. We think Guerra's going to start, but Jansen might eventually win the job. Chicago White Sox are another team with the closer up in the air. There's a lot of talk. One of the favorites in sleepers this year for relief pitchers is Addison Reed. He really blew through the minor leagues last year, a 1.26 ERA, and held opponents to a 157 batting average. So he certainly has the stuff. Probably won't start the year as the closer, however. We think that job will go to Matt Thornton to start, but perhaps by midseason, Thornton will be displaced by Addison Reed. Oakland A's closer situation with Andrew Bailey gone is really up in the air. Who knows who's going to be the closer out there? Grant Balfour, probably the guy with the most unfavorable name ever in baseball history, Balfour, is probably going to be the guy who's going to get the job. Brian Fuentes is another option in Oakland. He's a veteran and has closed before, but he is definitely up there in age. And then there's also 2 young guys, Joey Devine and Faustino de los Santos, who might compete for the A's closer job. And finally, the Houston Astros, if they do win any games this year, they will need a closer. Brandon Lyon seems to be the guy that's going to get that job as the season starts. They got a lot of young arms that might displace him as the year goes on. But Brandon Lyon is coming off a year where batting average against was .409 and ERA was 11.48. So there's a bona fide sleeper for you. But Brandon Lyon is due to make $5.5 million this year, so it's unlikely that he'll be displaced by anybody else and that any other team is going to want him when the season starts. But if he is consistent and does close some games for the Astros, maybe he'll hook on with another team as the season goes along, and somebody else will take over the Houston closer job. That's our look at fantasy baseball sleepers at the closer position for 2012.